Hey everybody, it's me, Cheryl Chan. This is a special edition of Builders of Massachusetts email. And what strange times we are living in. I'm thinking of all of you. I'm hoping that you're staying safe and healthy and doing your best to contribute to the global experience that we're having and the importance of quarantining so that we keep the numbers down and try to weather through this as best we can. But in the meantime, I'm thinking of all of us who are in the disability community in particular. And, there's no time like the present to practice those things that we're trying to make our mission and put into this initiative. And that is the practice of reaching out as community members and sharing our capacities. Um, we talk about it and we talk about how important it is to do in normal times. But like I said, there's no time like the present to try to put these things into play. And so we need to be reaching out to each other. The idea of isolation and loneliness, it's not that unfamiliar with those of us in the disability community, whether we are caregivers or people with intellectual disabilities or other disabilities anyway, right? I mean, this is not new news to us. But the impact of this coronavirus has taken it to a next level, to a new level. And so we need to call upon each other. We need to definitely call upon the technology to help us retain that connectedness. So to that end, even though we're not going to be able to gather in person, because like I said, it's kind of a dirty word right now, that word gathering, but technology will help us bridge that gap and gather regardless. We don't have to do it face to face. We can use technology, whether it's FaceTime or Facebook or GoToMeeting or any of those, Zoom or any of those meeting apps that we can use. Make sure that you are reaching out to your neighbors and reaching out to your friends and coming together. And make sure that when you do that, that you spend the time together laughing and telling great stories and certainly sharing resources. Try not to get together for the purpose of simply commiserating and trying to talk about how much worse your situation or somebody else's situation might be. That's not going to be what's helpful. That's going to increase the senses of anxiety, loneliness, and isolation. So if you do reach out, maintain that healthy, positive tone and as best you can. There's no doubt that every one of us is dealing with all sorts of different levels of anxiety. So I'm thinking of every single one of you. So I'm going to be doing a weekly video conferencing opportunity. If you'd like to get involved, just email me at cheryl@personcenteredplanning.com. That's Cheryl at personcenteredplanning.com. I'm going to do it via my GoToMeeting tool that I use, and it's going to be a video conference tool, and anyone can join who'd like to. But again, the object is to do a check-in, see how everybody's doing, share some laughs, share some stories, but maintain a level of lightheartedness that all of us are going to need to sustain this difficult time that we're in. So please join us at any time. Please consider maintaining communication among all of us on our Facebook group, the Community Builders of Massachusetts. If you're not a part of that, that's because you haven't joined one of our gatherings. Our Facebook group is exclusively for the people who have gone and attended one of our gatherings. And that's by design, because the message needs to be really, really clear. And we bring that message and that clarity in our community builders gatherings. We've had 5 so far. We're going to keep going. But it's really important that you understand what we're doing and what the expectation is for all of us who want to become community builders. This, is an important initiative, and it's one that we're not taking lightly. So to that end, I also have some great news. Recently, I put out a help wanted ad in one of my previous emails where I asked for help with people to help me with some research, because one of the things that the community builders has discussed and said is that in the course of trying to build community capacities, one of the things that's really important is that we have some accountability, and that it doesn't become something that everybody benefits from, but only a few give to. So, to that end, we are researching the concept of something called a time bank. And think of it like a savings and loan virtual bank where the currency is time in hours as opposed to any sort of monetary thing. This is something that we don't have to invent. It's something that's being used all over the country and indeed all over the world. And in fact, there are a couple of time banks that are in use right here in Massachusetts. So we're really excited about the research and the things that we're finding out about, because that's what we want to build. We want to build this community currency where people can go in and say, I can do this and I can do that, and in return, I really need this. And again, that currency is time. And we're so pumped about this. So I want to give a shout out and a thank you to Yvonne and George and Linda and Sangeeta, who all heeded my call for that help wanted for the research, because we're going to bring forward some wonderful things that we've discovered and put those into action. So if you don't belong to the internal Facebook group yet, then I encourage you to watch out for these emails, because this is how I'm going to be announcing our next community building gatherings post COVID-19, of course. And once we get that going again, we're going to build more and more. In the meantime, if you have attended one of our community building gatherings, other than the time bank research that we're doing, my next step is to go back to the 3 chapters that we already have in place. How cool is that? One is in Central Massachusetts, one is in Merrimack Valley, and one is in Western Mass. It's time for me to go back to those groups and talk about the next level of capacity capacity gathering, and that's called the first part of that was participant-based community development. And the next part is going to be community-based community development, or where I'm going to go in and I'm going to help people do some asset mapping around their own regional communities, so that from that perspective in their locale, they can begin community building, not just within ourselves, within those that are participating, but outward into those places and spaces where all of us can not only contribute to the community, but also receive more and more capacities and opportunities within the community. So big goings on in the next few months and maybe even years. That's my vision, at least. I hope that you'll join me. In the meantime, like I said before, stay safe, stay healthy, wash those hands, and I'll be thinking of all of you. Hope to see you soon.